number of people have been in touch with me recently asking my thoughts on the current property market and basically whether I think it's going to take a massive nosedive. Rather than repeating the same story over and over again, I thought I'd put this little video together and hopefully it'll be handy for someone. So the area I'm talking about specifically is the southwest. That's because I'm based in Somerset, so the areas I look at work in are Somerset, Devon and Dorset. So we are in a bit of a little bubble here, so it doesn't necessarily apply to UK wide. There's different markets for different areas, but it's a fairly general rule per se. Okay, so anyone who's been involved in anything to do with property in the recent years will know that it's been a bit of a roller coaster to say the least. We were due a correction or a crash, you might say. As a very, very basic analogy, the UK property market generally kind of goes up and it works in about a 10 to 15 year cycle. So it will go up, it will go up, it will go up, it will go up, and then it will reach a peak and it will kind of ebb and flow throughout this time, but it will go on an upward trend, and then every 10 to 15 years or so it will take a massive nosedive and a bit of a crash down. Last big one of these, of course, was the 2008 credit crunch, or as I like to call it, the banker balls up. Previous to this was the late 90s, there was a recession then, there was also a recession in the 80s. So as we look over time, we can see this trend. So come to around about 2019, we were due one of these. We were due a bit of a correction or crash, if you like. So the property market been going up, 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 nice and steadily. And a lot of people out there going, right, we're due a crash or correction. Then along came Brexit, and everyone right, okay, here it is. Everything's going to hell in a handcart. Brexit is coming. Your house is going to be worth nothing. Blah blah blah. In the southwest, it didn't quite work like that because from where I was sitting, everything carried on going up. Okay, so Brexit didn't really have much of an effect. Then along came coronavirus, and obviously all the media went, everyone's going to die. Your house is going to be worth nothing. Blah 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 blah. But it had the opposite effect, didn't it? So what happened there? Lots of people went to escape the cities and moved out of their little penthouse flat apartment that's worth X million pounds and thinks, right, okay, lovely, I'll go and buy a nice big country pile. This created a lot of hype. Then the powers that be decided it was a really good idea to freeze stamp duty. This then just created absolute chaos in the West Country and many other areas in the UK, a lot of seaside areas, rural areas. It just went absolutely mental. Around here, generally £1 million house would take approximately 6 months to a year to sell. All of a sudden, they're going like that 3 days to a week. So it just put all this hype into the market. Because there's hype in it, everyone starts rushing, and it was a bit chaotic to say the least. Okay, so what's happening now? Where we are now is we've had some huge energy hikes, and we're going to see some more coming in October. Inflation is through the roof, cost of living is getting stupid, interest rates are going up. They're probably not going up fast enough to curb inflation, so we've just got this whole messy economic situation going on right now. So one of the thoughts, I saw this in an article the other day, is you've got these people, let's call them Mr. and Mrs. Smith, bought their large 4-bed house in the country in 1998 for 150 grand. Today it's worth 750,000 because of all the hype and inflation in the market. Very nice, they 5 times their money, kids are left home. Do they need this great big 4-bed whatever house? And do they need to be paying these huge energy bills? No, they don't. So what's being said is all these people are rushing to sell their houses, which I for one have seen. I'm on Rightmove 7 days a week, 365 days a year, partly because of my job and partly because I'm a bit sad and I love it. I explain all this in my course that I'm putting out, so if you're interested, head over to the website. Loads of useful information in there on how to get educated in this stuff. So all these people are putting their houses on the market. So we're now coming into a situation where in theory there should be more supply than demand, which will push prices down. Do I think the property market is going to nosedive? After a lot of thought, time and careful consideration, and speaking to a lot of people who are much wiser than me, I don't think it's going to. I think we're going to level out. There's a lot of hype in the market at the moment. There's still properties going on that are massively overpriced, whereas a year ago these were selling. Now they're not. Now they're sitting there. There is still, however, a supply and demand issue overall in the country. There's not enough housing to go around, basically, and there's not enough houses being built to counter demand. In the area that I'm in South Somerset, and they've got huge issues at the moment with phosphates, and basically new build planning permission is not going through. They've got a massive backlog, so there's hardly any houses being built. So my prediction is that the market in this area is going to level off a bit. I don't think we're going to see massive drops, because I don't think supply is going to all of a sudden outweigh demand. All these houses are going on the market, but these people then need to buy something. So that's my prediction for it. Whether now is a good time to buy or sell is a whole other different subject. So I'm going to do a video on that next week and kind of dive into it, because I think this is something that a lot of people get quite confused about. Whether, you know, property market is in a peak or a trough can actually be quite speculative as to whether, you know, it's a good time to sell. It depends very much on what you're doing. As I've said, if you'd like to become more educated in this and lots of other interesting subjects property-wise, head over to the website, sign up to the newsletter, and you'll be informed when my new fancy course comes out. Hope everyone's having fun times. See you next week. Bye.